Hello. Today I'm going to answer the 5 questions I get asked most about my move to France. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Patricia Brooks. I moved to France in 2018 and I was taking a career break. Now I am the founder of the Courage Catalyst, which is a service that helps people who are looking to start the next chapters of their lives living and thriving in a foreign country. And I help them to create a plan so that they can move forward with their dream. I also help them to build the kind of mindset that will allow them to not only find the confidence and courage to make the move, but also that will allow them to thrive in their new country. And on my channel, I talk about my life in France, about moving abroad and how to find the grit so that you can actually live the kind of life you know you were meant to. And today I'm talking about the 5 questions I get asked the most, and I'm going to be answering them honestly. All right. And you will get a bonus today because I'm going to be sharing with you footage that I shot on a recent trip I took to Avignon, France. All right. So what is the first question that people seem to ask me all of the time? Well, the first question is, why did I choose France and why did I choose this particular area of France? Well, the short answer for France was it was the language. I fell in love with learning the French language after a couple of trips to Quebec City, Canada, and I decided to move to France instead of Quebec because I would not be able to tolerate the Canadian winters. And so that's why I'm in France. The language was the draw. I stay in France for different reasons, but that's what got me here initially. And the reason that I'm in this area is because in 2016, I came on a scouting trip and I was in Toulouse and I decided to take a day trip to Perpignan. And because I read in a guidebook about Perpignan. And I came and I fell in love. It was a drizzly, chilly day in May. Nothing to write home about, but it spoke to me. I felt really free as I walked down the palm tree lined streets. And so I came back a few days later to see if what I felt was real, and then moved here 2 years later. So that's why I am in this area. Now, I did not stay in Perpignan, and people often ask me also, oh, well, why did you move away from Perpignan? The short answer is I'm not a city person, and Perpignan is not a huge city, but I didn't know that about myself. I'd never lived in a city proper, and for me to live in a city all of a sudden at age 51 was just not for me. In addition to that, I couldn't find the neighborhood within Perpignan that felt like my home. And so I ventured out to Sorel, which was a village or a town that I had been introduced to by my French teacher who lived here and by a friend in my French class. And I visited one day early in my first year in France. And it came back around toward the end of my first year in France when I was looking for another place to stay. And I came back and I thought, I think I could see myself living here. But it was not that coup de coeur, as they would say in French. It was not that strike of lightning that said, oh yeah, this is the place you need to live. But I've been here in Sorel for 7 years and it is home for me now. And I think one of the reasons that I like here in this particular place is I'm really nestled among the foothills of the Pyrenees Mountains, and that feels grounding to me. All right, so that's question number 1. Question number 2 is, what is the hardest thing I've had to get used to? Now, I think I've gotten a lot better with this, but I still feel like this is the hardest thing I've had to adjust to, and that is the lack of personal space here. Now, you've heard me probably speak about this in other videos, but in the United States, there is a distance between you and another person that you don't breach, because otherwise you are in their personal space. And it's just an unwritten rule. You just get a sense of what that is as you are raised in the United States. Well, here in France, that personal space distance is different. And sometimes it seems like it's non-existent. And so in the beginning, that bothered me. It bothered me in line at the supermarket. Somebody would be right up against my back, and I'd scooch up a little to give myself some space, and they'd scooch up and they'd close that space. And so that, I think, has been the hardest thing for me. I've gotten a lot better. I have learned to tell myself that it's not a personal thing, because initially I took it personally. I thought they were just being rude, and it annoyed me. But now I recognize it's not personal. I tell myself that. And I even, do some deep breathing, if I feel like I'm going to be in a situation where my personal space is going to be breached. And in that way, I have learned to adjust to it in a way that feels better, right? Not completely 100% great, but that feels better. Question number 3 is, what do I like most about living in France? Well, this question changes depending on where I am in my life here in France. In the beginning, I just loved how fresh and new everything felt to me. It was like I was seeing everything through fresh eyes, and everything had a vividness about it that my life in the United States didn't have. And then after that kind of wore off, and I was working to move through some of the cultural differences and navigating the French administration and having some successes, I really liked how much I had grown personally because of living in France. But now I would say I love living in France because of how good I feel being here. When I go back to the States, and I haven't been back to the U.S. in about 2 years now, there's a feeling of tension that I experience. And I experienced this when I was living there 8 years ago or 9 years ago. But I didn't know that I was experiencing it. And so when I'm in France, I feel really good. I don't feel that undercurrent of tension. It just feels good. And it's hard to describe the feeling. But that's what I really enjoy about my life. I wake up in the morning, I'm ready to start my day. I don't dread my days. And I just love how I feel here. Question number 4 is, which feels more like home, the U.S. or France? And I think I answered this question by answering the last question. But I would have to say that France feels more like home. Yes, there are some things that feel inconvenient or different, but I've adjusted to those things enough. And as I said, the way that I feel here feels comfortable. It feels safe. It feels like the place I am supposed to be. And I think that's what home is supposed to feel like. In addition, it's not just my being here all on my own. I have started to build a network of friends and close friends and even a boyfriend here now. So yeah, France is home to me now. And while the U.S. will always hold a place in my heart, right now it no longer feels like home. So France feels more like home than the U.S. does to me now. And question number 5 is France your forever home? And I'd like to just answer that question by saying, absolutely, this is where I'm meant to be. However, if you would have asked me 10 years ago or 15 years ago whether or not I would be living in France or any other country for that matter, I would have looked at you like you had 2 heads. So to say absolutely I will never live any other place than France is not something that I can tell you with 100% certainty. What I can tell you is that France is home to me now, and I have no intention of moving anywhere else in the foreseeable future. So hopefully that answers your question well enough. So those are the answers to the 5 questions that I get asked most often. Which answer surprises you the most? Let me know in the comments. Now, you might be planning a move abroad, but you might also be telling yourself, I have absolutely no idea where to start. Well, if that sounds like you, then I have something that will help you. It's called the Pathfinder, and it helps you to understand where you are in your move abroad process. And depending on where you are, you're going to need to take different steps. So if you're interested in finding that out, you can go to thecouragecatalyst.com/Pathfinder or click the link in the description of the video. You can go to your phone if you're watching on TV, and you can click that link to download your copy. Find out where you are in the process, take those steps. And if your next step is to talk to somebody to help to either design a project plan for you or to help you to build the self-confidence or the courage to take those next steps, then feel free to book a complimentary discovery call with me. You can go to thecouragecatalyst.com/future expat. All right. So hopefully this video has been interesting. Hopefully you learned something about me. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And if you have, thank you. I will see you again next time. Bye for now.